With that note, I'm going to turn things over to Jason Morgan, who is the managing and principal for the Common Pool, who will be doing this first part. Jason?
Good morning, everyone. So right now I think we have about 10 registrants on the webinar who are here to hear more of the details of the proposal instructions for phase 1 of this competition. The first thing I want to note is that everyone who's attending this webinar, as well as the many other registrants and registered teams, have already received 2 prior emails. One was a document that outlined the proposal instructions that I'll be covering on the webinar today. The second was a video that repeats those same proposal instructions, only in a multimedia format. If you were to go to the website today, you could find that video, and Lynn will walk you through that right now on this screen, so that if after this webinar you want to refresh your memory, you have the ability to do so. So Lynn is now navigating to the forums part of the website, and under the thread Help, further down, she's going to the discussion thread Submissions. And if you click on this second post, you can see that there's a video called Proposal Instructions, which each of you have already received and which we'll be covering on the webinar. So Lynn, if you'll please go back to the main page of the Greensboro SC2 Challenge website. If you now go to the About item in the main menu, scroll down to Build Your Plan, and hover over Economic Development Proposal Instructions, you will see the same information, only in a narrative format. So there is other information throughout the website which precedes these specific instructions. I'm going to walk you through those now, and as I'm just describing these proposal instructions, you have the ability to enter questions that you may have in the chat functionality of this GoToMeeting. Lynn will be recording those questions, and we will be covering each of those questions at the end of my description of the proposal instructions. So let's start by covering the broader goals of Greensboro's SC2 Challenge. Greensboro wants to capitalize on its positive economic potential using a strategy that synergizes numerous assets in a sustainable manner. You and your proposal may help lay the foundation for the city's future by focusing on 6 key building blocks. They are: first, developing collaborations between local universities and the private sector. Next, attracting people, businesses, and investments in the downtown area. Next, enhancing the arts and other quality of life features. Next, improving the impact of Piedmont Triad International Airport and area infrastructure. Next, workforce development. And last, advanced manufacturing. The city has identified these 6 building blocks as economic development priorities, and your proposal is encouraged to include 1 or more of them. However, your multidisciplinary team may use other building blocks as well in your respective proposal. You want to be sure that your proposal meets all of the proposal requirements. If it is not complete or does not meet certain requirements, it may not be considered during the submission screening phase and will never be judged. So to review the proposal instructions, we've already navigated to how you would arrive at that page. And now I'm going to walk you through each of the 2 required sections and the 1 optional section for what you need to consider as you draft your final proposal. Last, I'm going to walk you through the proposal submissions page, which is the actual screen that you will use in order to enter your final proposal and some other information. So we're going to begin with section 1, which is the executive summary. This section should be no more than 5 pages maximum, and it should summarize your major points and a specific project which is representative of your overarching strategic approach. The executive summary has 4 key elements, and one of those key elements has specific subsections. I'm going to go through each of those now. First, you are asked to demonstrate that you have investigated regional and local economic development conditions. You want to do this in a broad but compelling way, and any assumptions that you provide in your executive summary should be further fleshed out in the second section, which is the larger economic development proposal. Similarly, under Section 2, you will provide a broad but compelling description of your general economic development strategy. Here you want to compel the readers, the judges, to want to learn more about your executive summary so that they will go on to read the next section. Third, you're going to outline a proposed project that best embodies your strategic approach. This proposed project is a critical element of your submission, and it should include 3 subsections in the executive summary. First, you want to be specific, so describe a projected return on investment and focus on why your proposed project may represent other related proposed activities. Next, be accountable. Identify further development needs and offer a way to solve any outstanding issues. Last, we want you to be bold, so don't be afraid of new or inventive ideas as long as they are rooted in sound economic principles and an understanding of the related risks. The fourth and last element of your executive summary is where you get to select the measure of your success. So whether you're measuring job creation, business expansion, or some other return on investment, be as quantifiable as you can be. So again, I want to repeat that the executive summary is there so that in a 5-page paper you can cover a lot of material, but do it broadly so that later any assumptions or citations that you've made in your executive summary can be further fleshed out in the next section, which is the full body of your economic development proposal. In Section 2, you will submit a plan of no more than 25 pages maximum. Here you're going to cite those references in the executive summary and provide deeper explanations. So there are 6 critical elements of your Section 2 economic development proposal, and some of those also have subsections. So I'm going to read through all 6 of them. First, you want to identify your multidisciplinary team members. Now, the SE2 challenge was built on the assumption that we're not just trying to invite people who are seasoned experts at economic development planning. We're also inviting people who maybe have seasoned skills and experience, which might either be specific to the city of Greensboro or that may be specific to some other discipline, which when combined with the talents of the other team members would help bring a fresh and new perspective to economic development for Greensboro. So again, you do not have to be a seasoned economic development specialist, but you should in fact highlight your critical skills, the skills that your team brings to the table so that we can understand who you are and what your likely experience has been. Next, number 2, you're going to publish your detailed analysis of regional and local economic conditions and trends. As many of you already know, the sponsors for this competition are both the City of Greensboro and also the U.S. Department of Commerce's Economic Development Administration. The EDA, or the Economic Development Administration, makes many investments in the City of Greensboro as well as local and regional surrounding communities. So it is important that you express that you understand what the local and surrounding economic development conditions are so that our sponsors can understand how your proposal might fit into a larger strategy. Third, you're going to declare your broad strategic approach, but here you're going to include justification and reasoning for using proposed tactics. So while in the first section, your executive summary, you have already signaled what's important to you and what those tactics are, here in the second section, the full body of your proposal, you're going to flesh out those details of your broad strategic approach and how they translate into tactical and operational proposals. Fourth, you're going to describe your project in detail. Now, this is where we want you to show as much specificity as you can. So there are 2 subsections under Part 4 of your full economic development proposal. First, we want you to include a description of the resources required to advance the proposed project. You must include draft budgets and explanations for any assumed expenses and or other implied cost. Next, you want to explain how the project will generate net benefits for the City of Greensboro. At what point will the investment pay off for the city, how and when? As if I was in your shoes, one of the things that I would do is I would read the rest of the website and see what the judges are asked to look at when they are scoring your proposal. There is a trait scoring rubric which is available to you on the website, and there are criteria within that trait scoring rubric, one of which is the feasibility of your proposal. Here you get an opportunity to show that your proposed project, as well as your overall strategic approach, is feasible. You get to show that there will be a return on investment for the proposed project, and there are resource requirements in order to invest in that proposed project. So be specific and make sure you include those two subsections. Fifth, you're going to measure or project any intended outcomes for the larger proposal. So while Section 4 is specific to the project, Section 5 is specific to the overall proposal. And there are other sub-elements to Section 5. They are, first, how will your proposal impact industries and occupations, either growing or declining in Greensboro, and why? Next, what is the net impact on job retention and creation in the city of Greensboro, and why? Next, where will your proposal have the greatest impact, and why? Next, when will the proposal generate a positive impact on the city, and why? Please note that Section 5, subsection D, where we're asking about positive impact on the city for the proposal, is different than asking about net return on investment or impact for the discrete project which is contained within your proposal. The last element of Section 5 is that you will consider how the overall proposal will utilize the strengths or help resolve the conditions of surrounding local and regional economies. The final part of Section 2 is that you will conclude with your most ambitious view for the future of the city and why your strategic approach is critical to realizing that vision. Okay, so the two initial sections of the proposal are very important, but there is in fact a third optional section, and this is where you get to submit a video presentation. Because of the way that this competition has been designed, you do not have an opportunity to interact directly with the 5 judges that will be assigned to score and comment upon your proposal. So this is your opportunity to make a personal connection, to provide a personal explanation for your proposal. And we're not looking for videos here that promote style over substance. We're not looking for high production quality videos. Here, we're looking for sincerity, authenticity, and accuracy. And so if you could limit your video so that it is 1 or perhaps 2 people speaking authentically and sincerely into the camera so that you're walking through the most important elements of your proposal within 2 to 5 minutes, that we believe is the most effective way to go about producing your video. So what I'm going to ask Lynn to do now is to navigate to the proposal submission screen, which is the actual screen that you're going to use when you go to submit your proposal. And please note that Lynn has registered into the site, and that's why she's able to access some of these menu items. She is a prize administrator. She is a registrant, and just like you will have the opportunity to register through the site. So there are 7+1 elements of the proposal submission screen. The first asks you to list your multidisciplinary team members. Now, this requires careful guidelines, careful instruction from me. There are 2 ways in which you can register. First, you can register as a group of individuals. Next, you can register as a corporation, meaning a business or a not-for-profit organization. If you register as a team of individuals, here under the multidisciplinary team list, we ask that you only list those other registered individuals on the team. So in other words, you will only be listing here other individuals who have also completed registration on the SC2 website and have officially been recognized as members of your team. Please do not list non-registrants here. Please do not list advisors, friends, family members, other people who have not completed registration if, in fact, you are recognized as a team of multidisciplinary individuals. The second category of how you may have created your team is that you may have created as a legal corporation, again, either a company or a not-for-profit. If, in fact, your team is represented as a corporation, then under multidisciplinary team lists, we ask that you only represent employees of that legal entity. So here you are able to indicate people who have not registered on the SC2 website, but they must, in fact, be legal employees of your legal corporation. Okay? This multidisciplinary team list box is the first of the 7+1 required elements. The next is you need to choose a primary point of contact. We want to see the legal name of that primary point of contact. We also want to see that person's phone number, email address, and legal mailing address. This is the individual with whom the City of Greensboro will be in touch, will be in communication regarding the status of your proposal. After that, you'll be uploading a file as your 5-page executive summary, your maximum 5-page executive summary. You will then be uploading a file for the full body of your economic development proposal. And Linda's kind of walking you through now how that would work. And then finally, you have the option of uploading your video presentation. Now, it's important I explain that the way in which you upload your video presentation is that you will first upload your video file to YouTube. And then from the YouTube website, you will obtain a YouTube video ID. And you'll enter that YouTube video ID here under this last form field box. You will update the YouTube video ID by clicking on the box beneath there, and that will allow you to finalize our access to your video. There is a technical issue I want to describe, and that's in the upper right-hand corner. There is a Save button. So every time you've entered new information in any of these boxes or uploaded a new file or video YouTube ID, we ask that you click Save in order to replace or save over previous information which may have been entered into those boxes. It is very important that you click Save every time you enter new information. In the same way that if you were drafting a Word document, you would always want to save your last version of that in case your computer were to go down or in case anything else were to happen. We would have a saved version of your most recent submission. So please click on the Save button frequently, and if you have any questions about that, certainly all of those questions can be directed to the email address which is provided at the footer of this web page, sc2@greensboro-nc.gov. So that is the end of our overview of the proposal instructions as well as the proposal submission screen. I believe we have 10 or 12 people on the webinar. I should tell you that in addition to hosting this webinar, we're also going to be sending out some follow-up information to all those who attended as well as all the other registrants. So with that, I'm going to turn the presentation back over to Lynn, and she's going to walk us through any other questions that may have appeared, and if not, and then we'll ask Prince John to wrap up once that is completed.
Hello again. Currently, there are no questions in the chat box, so if anyone on the line has a question, please feel free to go ahead and type it right in. We'll wait a few minutes to see if anyone has any questions they'd like to ask.
And while we're waiting to see if anybody has any questions, Lynn, I do want to say to everyone, we also sent out an email to everyone offering appointments for each team, and there are still some slots available. Feel free to take advantage of those, and any of those times or days don't work for you, we can accommodate other days and times, and we can meet by phone. If you're local to Greensboro, we can meet in person, and we can also meet virtually. Again, our goal is to help each team submit their very best proposal for the competition.
All right, I am not seeing any questions being submitted.
Well, I guess you guys have it all down. That's good. So if you don't have any questions right now, you may have some questions come up later. If you do, feel free to reach out to me by phone or by email, and we can go over those. As we close up, I do want to reiterate some of the points that Jason made about the proposal instructions. You want to make sure that you take the time to go through those and make sure your submission has all those. In addition, I also want to encourage you to take some time and go over the rules that are also on the website so you're familiar with those. And then again, if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to me.
And Prince John, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we do have a couple questions that are coming in yet.
Okay.
Looks like Mr. Lehman had started to type a question in. So Mr. Lehman, that just only partially came through, so if you have a question, please go ahead and finish typing it. We had a question about, is there a list of proposal topics? Sean, would you like to address that, or Jason?
Proposal
One is the 6 key building blocks. So we did represent 6 key building blocks, which we'd like the teams to focus on. And Lynn is hovering over the section of the screen there. They're in a bullet point format. At the head of the economic development proposal instructions, you can see that that those are listed there.
Right. Now go behind Jason and say your proposal is not required to include any of these 6 building blocks, but whatever building blocks it does include, you want to be able to have a theoretical and a sound factual basis for using that. Now, at the apex, a proposal that had one or more themes, one or more projects, and that did so in a synergistic fashion would be very attractive, but it's not required. But again, we do encourage use of those 6 building blocks.
And we had a question coming in about whether or not we would be able to review this webinar and whether or not we intend to publish the link to this recording.
Okay.
Jason,
in our experience, Prince John, what we do is we do take this recording, we send it back over to the city of Greensboro. The technology that we're using, and with everybody dialing in, sometimes there are various grades of quality of the recording. So we'll allow the city of Greensboro to make that call once we've been able to produce the video in the most clear way possible. If the video, in fact, is corrupt, or if there's any reason that we technically cannot post that to you, please note that you can first access the proposal instructions video on the forums where we previously indicated. Just so you're aware, I was actually reading from the same script that was used to produce the proposal instructions video. So there's nothing that I will have covered in my explanation that has not already been covered in that video, which was forwarded to you. Also, that same content is available in narrative form in the PDF file that was forwarded to you. Also, all of that same content is available for the public to view on the website today. But with that said, Prince John, it would be your call about how and when you want to perhaps share a recording of this.
Right. And what we'll do is we will follow up with everyone who attended in response to that question here shortly.
Those are all the questions that were published in the chat box. Does anyone have any additional questions?
All right.
I think that's it, Prince John.
Okay. Well, as you close up again, I want to thank everyone who did attend and encourage you to reach out to me as you close up. We're getting close to the finish line, less than 2 weeks, so I want to congratulate you on your participation so far, and hope that you will reach out as your team refines its final submission for Greensboro's SC2 challenge.